recording and streaming. Fingers crossed this works. Work. Okay, apparently it says I am streaming. I trust it. I hope it's working. Anyhow, welcome. I am the Bardic Narc, and this is my first stream for Welcome to the Party. This lovely little thing here. Lovely organisation, lovely people, and they are letting me take up all of your time with me and these other lovely people, most of which, as you can tell, do not currently have cameras or choose not to, and that's fine. We accept and love them for who they are. Anyhow, I should tell you who I am. That would make sense, because you're just watching some British person speak at you with his beard all up in your face. Anyhow, I am the Bardic Narc, Dungeon Master, and creator and god of this entire world I have created, and let all of these other lovely people run around in. We will do like we did last week, and go around clockwise. So, our first character, Varco, please introduce yourself.
My name is, you can call me Don't Blink. I play Varco, the mysterious and charismatic young sorcerer.
Well, your mysteries may not stay mysterious forever, Varco. We will find out.
Oh.
And then, under that, we have Zindrix.
My name is Blake. I play the Wild Elf Druid Zindrix Alvariel.
Yes. Lots of druidiness and the like. And then, below you, we have our lovely Primrose.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca. I'll be playing Primrose the Half-Orc Bard.
And now we move to the non-camered people. Flick, who are you?
Hey guys, my name's TJ, and I'll be playing the Halfling Rogue Flick.
And our final player for today, Kid. Who is the Dark Horse?
Good to see you. My name's Cody. I play Kid, the mercenary known as the Dark Horse, a fighter, and as of last stream, a wizard aspirant. Man who takes no names and keeps his resume on the scars that he wears on his arm.
The best kind of resume. No one can put it in a pile and say, "Oh, we lost it." And
got his arm on.
Yep. Our other player, you will see a square below me. Keldor, our Null Knight. He is not currently with us today. He has spent Easter looking at a big hole in the ground, or as you Americans refer to it, the Grand Canyon. If you watch this, Archer, we don't need you anyway. No, we're kidding. We love you, and we love your big dog boy. Okay, so...
Oh, come on. Our big dog boy is the only character obsessed with a big hole in the ground. It's perfect.
Maybe that's where Keldor puts all his bones. Okay, for those of you who, well, which is, I'm assuming, 99% of you, who haven't been following this campaign prior to appearing here, this is a campaign, it's using the 3.5 version of Dungeons & Dragons, so it's a little bit older for a lot of people if they are newer into it. It's not because I'm an elitist and I think older is better, it's purely because this is the system I know the rules best, and I don't want to mess up on that. So, there we go.
Quick technical thing, Matt.
Yep.
That link that you sent us is still displaying someone playing Sea of Thieves, not us.
How bizarre.
Yeah, so we might want to figure that out before we... Yeah.
Well,
We're
I've
good?
just looked on the stream. I can see us.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we
there,
just got
the live
a different
stuff is going on.
link then. No worries.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if we can't see ourselves.
I can see you all.
Namaste.
And yes,
Alrighty.
continuing on explaining. This is the kingdom of Fife. It's not small, but it's not huge. Some average-sized kingdom nestled in a valley surrounded by mountains. It is very, very cold most of the time. And, well, not much has happened so far in the campaign, has it? Let me think. Last week you went and found a wagon. What happened before? Oh, yeah, the capital city got burned to the ground by an evil wizard and an army of undead unicorns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nearly forgot that. Very nearly forgot. So, last week, our lovely new heroes, they went off, they found a supply wagon, they brought it back. They made friends with some barbarian fellows. And Flick killed one. But no one knows that. Nobody knows it was
Hey. He tried to shoot me first.
He did. So it was completely justified. And,
Exactly.
in retrieving the wagon and, well, a few other things happened. They managed to convince the Prince of Fife to legalize arcane magic. Pretty big deal. And with all of that, all of our players leveled up. And they've gone off and they've done the behind-the-scenes numbery stuff, so you don't need to sit and watch that. But, yes, our lovely party, our enigmatic heroes, they're going to have a rest for a couple of days, under the advice of Angus McFife, he's the prince, who currently has a broken leg. So he's going to use these 3 days to rest up and prepare before they get ready to set off on whatever quest they choose to do. There have been hints of a magical weapon that can kill any foe. So I think Angus McFife is pretty interested in that, along with their new barbarian friend, Unst. I can only say his name like that. I can't say Unst any other way. So, alrighty, let's, similar to the introductions, let's start off in our top corner with Varco. These 3 days of rest and recovery and whatever else you are planning on doing, what would Varco, the character, like to be getting on with, exploring, doing, etc., etc.?
Actually, since everyone was going to do an outward quest, Vako, since he was in the frozen tundra, small tribe, he wanted to do an internal quest, so he wanted to meditate these 3 days.
Ah, okay. So, just for clarity's sake, the meditation, is that literally you're going to go sit down, close your eyes, and sit there for 3 whole days, or do you just take up a good chunk of the day with meditating and then continue on with other things?
Well, actually, it's a hallucinogenic drug that he'll be inhaling, so he can meditate out in the wild.
I remember those days. I mean, no, I've never sat tripping on drugs for 3 days straight. Okay then, so, Varka, this is something you have done before. It's quite... forgot the word there for a moment. It's quite ritualistic in your culture, yes? Whether that be shamans or witch doctors or whatever they are. The practice of the vision quest is a normal thing you know how to do, isn't it?
It is pretty normal in his tribe, yes, and whenever you want to seek answers, especially spiritual answers, this is what you have to do.
Okay then, so please describe for me, our other players, and our lovely audience how you begin your vision quest.
He'll go out into the wilderness, find a nice clearing away from the normal beaten path. He doesn't really need any food or water or anything. The vision quest should keep him alive until he comes back to in a couple of days. He has some burnt, dried leaves that he grabbed from his tribe. That is also had to buy a couple of alchemical supplies from the nice town that they're staying at, and he just burns them together, and he inhales deeply.
As you inhale deeply, you've got this lovely. Do you use like any particular like ceremonial tools? Whether that's just like a ceramic bowl, or is it you just make a pile on the floor and go completely natural?
Completely natural. It's actually a pile of leaves that he puts on the dirt, and it keeps smoldering for a couple of days, hopefully in a dry place so the rain doesn't put it out.
Oh yeah, as I described last week, it's quite dry around here. Not a good dry. It's so cold it's dry. So it's almost like the ground is frozen-ish. So you can sit there and you can meditate, and you're not going to get rained on.
Perfect.
It's absolutely fine. Okay, as you sit there and you light and you begin the trance, the smoke comes, it fills your mouth, your nose, it washes over your entire being, and you sink into your deep meditative state. As you're in this state,
That is correct.
as you're in this state, you feel so in tune with the world around you. Not in a natural sense, not like, oh, I can feel the trees and the animals and the birds. No, you can feel something deeper, something unseen. It's almost like a weave of mystical energy that exists throughout the world that only a few rare natural born people can tap into. And you feel this enveloping you, your arms. You can feel them, because as you have described words to me before, Varko has symbols on his arms, correct?
That is correct. Actually, all over his body.
You can feel these writhing in arcane fluctuations, and you can actually even feel more symbols appearing on you, continuing down along your arms and all kinds of things. As your vision keeps going on, you see a tall mountain. The tallest mountain, in fact. You see its snow-covered peak. You see horrendous. I was mixing tremendous and horrendous, and it was going to be an awful made-up word. Horrendous gales of winds going through it. And then you see the outline of a great winged lizard circling around the top of this mountain before it descends. And then, if we're imagining like a movie screen type here, this great silvered winged lizard flies towards you as if it's coming straight into your face, and as it opens its great maw, a multicolored prismatic spray erupts into your eyes. And then you wake up.
My character will kind of rub his eyes a little bit, look around, kind of bewildered at first, because everything felt so real in his vision.
Yeah, that felt pretty damn real. In fact, if you if you are checking yourself out, going, oh, okay, here's my body. You find these new marks on you, and you go, these are new. There's also snow on your shoulders, as if you had physically been.
Look around. Has it been snowing here?
There is no snow anywhere else around you.
My character tilts his head and thinks of the snow-covered mountain that he saw in his vision.
And yeah, you now know more magic spells, obviously. And we will perhaps get to see them as we continue forward. Is there anything else you would like Varco to do in these 3 days? Because I'd say maybe like 2 full days have passed whilst you've been doing that.
He'll probably want to hunt.
Ah, you want to do some hunting. Can you roll me a survival check?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Ooh, yikes, a 3. Your hunting doesn't go so great, unfortunately.
It never does. It never does. All my tribe, I'm the worst hunter in it.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that particularly well. Can you repeat that, please?
Oh, out of all my tribe, I am the worst hunter.
I mean, obviously you feel somewhat disappointed that justifiably, you aren't used to hunting like down here out of the frozen tundra, so it's not that you're inept at hunting or anything like that, but it's just not your style. You don't know the wildlife around these parts, you don't know what exactly you're supposed to be looking for, and you don't have the obvious footprints in the snow to follow, so on the whole, you don't really find anything to go hunting with, which it's a shame, but I can't do anything about rolling a 3.
No, it's fine. I think Vaco just kind of enjoyed kind of trying to hunt. It kind of brings memories back whenever he was younger, going on the hunt with his elder brothers.
Yeah, despite not actually finding anything, you can still enjoy the act of hunting. So, you'll camouflage yourself up a little bit, you'll stalk some prey, you'll do all that, and you'll have these lovely, very nostalgic feelings. But I don't know, like every time you see a deer or you see a rabbit, you do something silly, like you step on a branch because you're not used to branches being around. But you still enjoy the sensation despite not catching anything. And yeah. Unless there's anything else you would like to do, are you just going to be returning to town after that?
Yep, I think I would be done with that, yeah.
Okay, so, and then you will wander back on into town, where you see... You'll find out later, once everyone else has said what they're doing. Okay, continuing round the circle. Blake. What is Zindrix, our lovely druid, and her pet wolf, Sif? What are they getting on with for these 3 days?
For these 3 days, Zendrix is going to round up the capital people and teach them about what would be safe to pull from the forest, how to hunt, how to farm, and that whole area, so they can actually contribute to this village instead of just eat their food.
That's really good. What do we think would be a better role for that? Would that be survival, to be physically instructing them, or would it be more knowledge nature, to be intellectually instructing them?
I think she'd do a little bit of practical and a little bit of intellectual work, so I can do both if you want. Like, she'd spend like the first day and a half just telling them, then the next day and a half taking them out and showing them.
That sounds great to me. Roll both.
So here's the knowledge nature for the teachings.
Okay.
And here is the survival for the practical.
So, that is a 12 on the intellectual, the knowledge side, and an 18? Yes, that's an 18.
Yep.
I can read. Primary school taught me well. I can read numbers.
Reading, speaking, you're doing great.
Yeah, it's just that writing. Ugh. I'll get it one day. Okay, so as you're instructing the other refugees here and there, they aren't quite getting it. When you try and explain to them, yes, you can eat all these kinds of plants, you can eat that. It doesn't quite click, but a decent amount of them seem to get it. When you take them out into the wilderness, however, you teach these refugees how to hunt, how to forage, how to plant and cultivate things. Not amazingly, because you can't teach someone overnight how to snap their fingers and make corn grow, but you teach them the principles, and they know, okay, well, we're in a farming community, we can now work on farms, we can do things. You've done a really good job of making these people not entirely useless here. So, good job. Is there anything else you'd like to be doing?
Other than that, should just teach them the importance of using everything that they kill, just from the hides to the bones, to how to use everything.
That's very good.
And that would be the last you would do.
In specifying that, not you, Zindrix, physically, but you have taught them the principle, and they've gone and found how to make clothes out of things, and how to even make armor, some of them. So now these people, they have hide armor, they have lots of skins and things to wear. Some of them are even starting to make tools out of animal bones, very rudimentary scythes and sickles and the like. It's good.
You're creating a new wandering people of the refugees of Dundee.
Well, exactly. You already have a bunch of wanderers in town. You're teaching the civilized people how to become like savage wanderers, and in contrast, the savage wanderers have been learning how to become civilized. It's great.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened last episode.
Yeah, it's like a foreign exchange program. Okay. If there is nothing else specifically you'd like to be getting on with, am I okay to move on?
That'd be all she does.
That's about it?
Yep.
Alrighty. Flick. After your totally justified not murder, which nobody else knows was you, what would you like to be getting on with for the next few days in town?
It was totally justified, but it was totally a murder. I poisoned that guy good. He didn't see it coming at all. Which is good, because that was really expensive poison. So, remember when I said I didn't take masterwork items and I took something equivalent in cost?
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, that would be it. So, but in Flick's defense, he did, have an arrow sticking out of his chest for the first time. It's a very tiny chest. It's a very big arrow. It's quite traumatic.
Exactly.
So, sorry to carry on. What Flick wants to do during this time is he's going to spend the first day getting the layout of this town, casing the joint, and trying to look inconspicuous while doing so. He just kind of casually wanders about the town, observing things, and what he's really looking for is he doesn't really want to screw with any of these refugees or any of these farmers who are already being pushed to their limit, having to, try and help support these people. What he's looking for is some big fat cat who lives in this town, some rich manor on the hill type of thing.
Unfortunately for Flick, there isn't an obvious "I am the rich man," ha ha ha. But you can very easily deduce that the Frau of the inn, she looks pretty well off. you know, because she's running the inn, and the general storekeeper. He looks pretty well off.
All right. And in the last episode or two when we were here, or the last game or two when we were here, to my recollection, the tavern keeper wasn't really being a jerk, but she was not freely distributing food. She was still demanding coin, even in the face of all these refugees coming in,
Yes,
which is
she
a business
was.
choice. Yeah. And the guy who runs the general store was charging exorbitant fees for the food that he had, right?
Yes. And
So-
he's the one who
so-
actually gave you the quest, essentially, to go and find his supplies. Yet, when you brought them back,
Indeed.
you just gave them out for free. So, he's probably not too thrilled with you.
That's right. I do owe him 2 potatoes and a rock hard loaf of bread for that deal, don't I?
Yeah.
That's what that was his down payment on the deal. But this was a cart of things he'd already paid for, right?
Yes, he had already paid for all of these things.
Yeah. So I'm probably just going to avoid the general store for the 3 days. And yeah, Flick would wander around and, like I said, casually be looking for one of these places. If he can't really find any thing like that, he generally evaluates the situation and just lays low because he doesn't know how long he's going to be here, and he doesn't know this place, and he doesn't know where he's going from here. All he knows is he can't go back to the one place that he does know, the place where he's lived all his life, because it's now random flaming holes in the ground, and that might be hard to, get any knowledge out of as well. So he's going to just lay low for the 3 days, and maybe casually look for the people who are doing the worst off, starving wise, especially any children, and try and make sure that they get some food. He'll pay the innkeeper again to do this if he has to.
Yeah. I mean, Zindrix has done a lovely thing. She's taken out a lot of the refugees to go and help them. So they're kind of doing okay food-wise. I mean, they're only eating bare minimums, but they are managing to eat and survive. I suppose the best place for you to, lay low, as it were, would most likely be in the tavern, because that'll be where any elderly and infirm or children would be left to stay in the daytime when anybody else has been sent out to go and learn new things.
Okay, well, he's not kind enough to want to be tending bedpans or anything, but
Oh, no.
he'll toss a few gold down if it helps anybody.
Yeah, when I say infirm, I don't mean ooh, you need to wash them and bathe them. It's just more they're too old
Gotcha.
to go out and help. But they're there. They're in the tavern. They aren't really buying anything from the tavern. They're kind of just in there to try and stay warm.
Okay. Yeah, then Flick will spend a bunch of time there over the first couple days. And are there any, on his wanderings around, does he come across any, street children? Are there a lot of, there was a church here that was taking people in, right? So I assume that all the children have been housed there.
Yes, there is most definitely a church. And if you went and poked your head in or just stayed around long enough, yes, you would notice that a sizable amount of children have been housed in the church.
Okay, he's not searching them out. I was just wondering if there's any stray ones hiding in the alleys or anything when he's wandering by doing his scoping of the town. Because that would be something that would catch his eye.
Yeah, there's one or two children who obviously are orphans, to put it in the nicest way possible. And you will definitely come across one or two who they'll be hiding out round the back of the tavern, waiting for the old food to be taken and thrown out, and you'll find them like ravaging through leftovers and awful, terrible things like that.
All right. Well, Flick, when coming across these kids, would sort of gather them up, Pied Piper style, and since he more or less looks like one of them, I don't figure it to be too hard. And he's going to find like a nice abandoned spot somewhere where he can sit with these kids, and he can sort of teach them a bit of the knowledge of the streets, because it looks like these are the kids who might be falling through the cracks of everything else, sort of like he did. And that might be some stuff that they need to know to survive, like how not to have to eat out of trash cans all the time. He's just going to try and impart a few of those skills.
Okay,
and that'll be it for the 3 days for him.
The most abandoned place, in fact, like the only actual abandoned place, if we come on, Matt. Oh no, too far. This building here.
I think you're on the GM layer still, buddy.
I am. It says objects and tokens. Let me try that again. Has that worked?
There we go.
Yeah, so this building here.
Yeah, the bottom building there.
Yes, there's a slightly worn out, damaged sign out in front of it which says Furness Village Hall. The building itself is pretty abandoned. Like, when I say pretty, like, it's useless. Windows have been boarded up. There's a hole in the roof. It's not very fantastic looking, but
all right,
it's there.
That'll be the first thing he teaches them. Is if no one else is willing to give you somewhere to live, it's very easy to find places like this in most civilized areas. And if you slip into a place like this and slip out without people seeing you, then you don't get bothered.
Alrighty, so you're essentially becoming Fagin and gathering up a bunch of children to steal stuff.
But not like Fagin style to run the racket for him. He's legitimately interested in like giving these kids the skills that they're going to need to survive.
Yeah.
On their own.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. You can very easily achieve that. There's not loads of children. Let me see how many children.
Yeah, even if it's like 2 or 3 or something, he's probably not going to want a dozen following him around or anything. Kind of defeats the purpose of this.
Yeah, I just rolled for it. You found 3, so you've given 3 children a shelter to rest in. Are you leaving them any money? Or
they're all human, are they?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. He would probably leave them with 1 gold and 10 silver each.
Okay, so mark that off.
So he doesn't want to give them a ton, but that'll definitely feed them and house them for a while, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
considering
give them too much. Yeah.
Considering a decent meal is about 3 copper.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll feed them for a while.
That's gonna easily get a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks worth of food.
That's the idea. If you give them too much, then they're just going to be marks, then they're going to get taken.
Yeah, they'll get lazy. Ugh, look at these damn kids getting things handed to them for free. Back in my day.
No, he knows that like stupid children running around with large amounts of money are going to get it stolen from people like him. So if they have a little bit of money, they'll hide it and they'll make it last.
Oh yeah, because
or they won't, and they'll die, and that'll be the way the streets too.
We know for certain there are no suspicious, shady characters hanging around in this sleepy little town, are there?
Right?
Especially not halflings.
That's exactly who he's trying to, it's exactly who he's trying to brace them against, is that type of people.
Speaking...
Very smiley people.
Speaking of our lovely friend Smiles, if you spent any time in the tavern, you will have seen him in there. he's normally sat at a table, and he's normally got a little cup out, not a cup for drinking, it looks like a cup for dice. And he always seems to have a small stack of coins next to him. And you'll often see someone going and sitting with him and then leaving however long later. If you spent any prolonged time there, that is.
A bit in the first day, and then during his wanderings, when he finds these kids, he would have taken off from the tavern and probably not come back. More or less specifically because of Smiles, and he doesn't particularly enjoy being around old humans all the time. They think they know everything. And yeah, I think I don't know. I think we'll leave that too. He's really trying not to cause a scene in this tiny, tiny little town.
Good thinking. It's, you know, it's almost as if you've spent a good chunk of your life learning to not draw attention to yourself.
Well, when you do something like a murder in one neighborhood, you usually lay low in that neighborhood and go to the other ones far away on the other side of the city for a while. Let the heat die down. So.
Okay then. So, moving on. Primrose. What would you like to be doing in these 3 days of rest and recovery?
Let's see. Of their time would be spending time with the male half-orc.
Unst. One day I will not say his
yes.
name like that, but yes. Are you wanting to do anything in particular with Unst? Or just spend time with someone who shares your race and someone who shares your heritage, and you can talk and you can do all kinds of lovely things?
Mostly that, but you know, bring up that they like flowers a lot, and bring up that they're ultimately looking for the hidden garden, and they don't know where it's at, so they will be asking Unst if they know where, if he knows where it's at, for any chance.
If you speak to Unst, oh, actually, no, there's no point doing this in third person. Let's get into character. That's what we do here. I am sorry, Primrose. I have never heard of magical garden. It's not place Unst has come across. Unst has seen flowers. Would Primrose like flowers? Unst can go get flowers for Primrose.
If you got me more flowers, I would just put them in my hair.
He's good. Flowers look good in Primrose hair.
Flattery will get you nowhere, young man.
Unst does not flatter. Unst flattens enemies under feast. But Unst just thinks that Elder Primrose should have nice things. He's good for her. Them. He's good for them.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, Unst.
Beyond.
Sorry, I interrupted you after you.
Sorry. Beyond that, not much else occurs. They basically just stay with Unst and talk about life and things like that. You know, a bit boring, that's all.
No, that's absolutely fine. Do you share your music with Unst at all?
They do, yes. Primrose
Oh.
would share their music with Unst.
Um,
Every night, in fact.
well, since you brought up flowers, Unst, he wants to go and find you some. So I need to do a quick little roll for him to see how... Well, that's not very good. Unst isn't very good with knowing what is pretty. So Unst kind of returns with the equivalent of some dandelions, some thistles, and nettles, and things like that. You know, things normal people would consider weeds, but Unst likes them. And he hands them over to you, and he goes, when Unst was out helping with, you know, things for local people here, Unst found pretty flowers for Primrose. I like this one. It's bright and yellow. It's like sun. And he hands you a bright yellow dandelion.
Let's see. You know, this to humans, this is considered a weed, but to me, it's its own flower.
All flowers are beautiful things. They are symbol of nature, existing, triumphing through humanity and civilization, trying to stomp down on them. Primrose is like flower, blossoming, blooming from underneath oppressive feet of Black Claw tribe. Is quite beautiful metaphor, actually. Once learned a new word.
Rose will appreciate more.
Yes, Uns will then continue on to say, in return for Primrose playing beautiful music that touch Un's heart, and especially in trying time after closest best friend Vladimir died mysteriously. It was so sad. Uns would like Primrose to accompany him. The music is soothing. It's very nice. If you would like to accompany me as I travel on to find Hammer of Glory, so we can get revenge on evil wizard.
I may consider it, though right now I'm not bound to the prince, but mind breaking that bond to join Unst.
Well, perhaps Prince wants to come on quest for Hammer. Perhaps Uns will go speak with Prince. And
But you'll have to ask him.
Sorry, I started speaking over you again.
Wood, you have to ask him.
No, Uns will ask the Prince. I'll go find him. Maybe later. Probably off screen, so the person who provides me with voice doesn't need to speak to himself.
Did you guys hear that sound? I think it was the fourth wall crashing to the ground.
Shh! Who needs fourth walls? Yeah, they're not useful. Okay, so Unster's gonna go speak to Angus McFife off screen, so I don't have to sit here and talk to myself, alternating between Russian and Scottish accents and it turning into an awful mess. So that leaves us with... Well, before I jump ahead, Primrose, is there anything else you would like to be getting on with in these 3 days?
Are there any, like, in town, or just, like, that's not this kind of town?
Sorry, any what in particular?
Any small libraries or bookshops or something?
There's no bookshops. there's no official libraries, but make me a knowledge religion check, please. Or bardic knowledge, whichever you prefer.
A few moments here. You said religion?
Yes. Okay, 20. That's pretty damn good. You have noticed that the lovely female cleric who seems to be in and out of the church and going and tending to Prince McFife, you notice she bears the holy symbol of Icarus, the scholar. As one of the Holy Triad, he represents intelligence and study. So you could very heavily assume that there's probably some books in there.
Okay. If there are books in the town, Primrose would want to do research on any trace of the
Sorry, everything just cut out for a second. Any trace of the...
Okay. Any trace of the garden, they would want to that any kind of books they can find.
Okay. Yeah. When you go to the church, you'll head in there. It's all fine. It's all lovely. It's all great. There's quite a few refugees in here as well, namely a few children, a few single parents who look very sad. It's almost as if their loved ones died in a horrific incident that occurred recently. I wonder what that could have been. But if you find the small enclave of books and libraries and things like that, yeah, you can start reading through. Let me think. Can you roll me a search check, please?
Well.
Oh, yikes. 6. That is not fantastic. You don't really seem to find much on this garden. It's almost as if it's a place of myth and mystery. Whilst you are in there, because I'm assuming Primrose is going to spend a decent number of hours there. The lovely cleric lady, she comes up and asks you, she's a little hesitant, it's almost as if she has perceived notions of how certain people act based upon arbitrary things like their race. So she's somewhat hesitant of you, but when she finally does come and approach you, she's very demure and quiet, and she asks her, sorry to interrupt you in your reading of all of my books there, but I notice you've been here for a while, and you haven't really seemed to find anything. What are you looking for exactly? If you don't mind me asking. that is.
Primrose will look up from the books. Cleric. And they're a bit. You don't need to be scared of me. I'm not like those brutes who attacked the city.
No, no. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I have been awful scared of you. It's just, no, it's just a little part of my nature, I suppose. And I apologize for making assumptions without talking to you or getting to know anything about you. Sorry, I should fix that. Hello, how do you do? My name is Eliza. Eliza Hawk. What are you looking for?
Well, Eliza. Go ahead, sorry.
She just asked what you were looking for.
A nice name. Eliza, do you know anything about garden of the rainbow?
I believe I've heard of it. I always was led to believe it was some kind of legend or something like that. But let me. And she begins to start rifling through various books and the like. As she's doing so, she eventually does come across one book. I don't know if this will be much help for you, but it says here that and she flicks it open and starts flicking through it and goes, apparently, the garden itself is hidden, not just as a location, but it's hidden to protect itself from those who would harm it or nature in general. It's well, that's certainly interesting. It says it's supposedly guarded by something called the Fae. Well, obviously I've heard of the Fae, fairies and the like, but that's very strange. I don't know if that's much help for you, but I suppose maybe if you were trying to find it, perhaps looking around woodlands and forests and places like that. It says it's guarded by some very potent magics of sorts, but whew. Either way, I'm very certain that you'll find what it is exactly that you're looking for.
It's a great help. This is the time I've gotten such information in one place. If you wouldn't mind, would it be okay if I copy these pages down?
Oh, no. In fact, you can take the book if you like.
Is it not your book, though?
It's libraries, but
If you insist about the book, I will. Thank you.
Well, and I've been spending a lot of time talking to your princely fellow over there, His Grace, even, and well, I've been trying to help out with his leg and whatnot, and I was wondering, because I don't like the idea of the prince heading off without a full-time healer and the like to keep track on him. I was wondering if you know him, you've spoken to him. Sorry, I keep rambling a little bit. I was wondering if you could put in a word for me, because I would very much like to accompany you all, so I can, look after His Grace and keep him well on your journey, your march, crusade, whatever it is you're calling it. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel awful foolish.
Primrose will raise their hand and no trouble to ramble. Rambling is sometimes how we get our words out. I know a bit of healing magic. I can offer services as needed.
Oh, well, of course you. No, I'm sure. You won't be needing someone like me tagging along and slowing you down. I spend far too long reading books and things like that. It was foolish of me to ask. I'm awful sorry.
Oh, wait. Okay, the sound cut out. Was she asking to join the party?
Yes, essentially.
Oh, sorry. We'll reverse for a second then. Rewind.
Yeah, if you weren't sure what I was actually saying.
Okay.
She essentially asked,
Okay.
she's been going over and seeing Prince McFife every couple of hours, checking on his leg, using some magic here and there, just making sure that he's, alive and not in severe pain with his leg. But basically, she has asked, like, ooh, could you or someone else, put in a good word for me? Let me tag along, because I want to help out where I can.
How about this? How about could use some courage on you? Why not speak to the prince yourself, and I will come with you?
Oh, I suppose I could do that. When would be a good time for you?
As information I needed, that would be fine. But I will say, you show it how asking yourself would be a much better. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I suppose I can't really argue with that logic. Going and asking myself would probably be for the best.
I'm with you.
After you, sorry.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Certain parts when you're ending and when you're starting.
No, it's okay. Damn technology.
She said she'll come.
Yeah. Elijah said she'll go and do that. If you said you'll go with her and do that right now, or?
With you.
It's convenient for the DM.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think he'd like to get this over with.
Yeah. So Eliza goes up. She very nervously, very shyly rambles on for ages and ages and ages, not quite getting to the point whilst talking to Prince McFife until she eventually spits it out. And the prince kind of looks at her and goes, well, of course you can come along, you know, why would I say no to a valued healer? And dun 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 dun, you have recruited a cleric to your growing size of NPCs. So that's accomplished. Before I jump to Cody, is there anything else Primrose would like to do?
I'm sorry, would I like to what?
Anything else you would like to do?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to our final player and his rest and recovery time. Although, Cody, I don't think Kid is doing much resting or recovering, is he?
Oh, no. Once Kid gets into something, he gets into it as obsessively as possible. Could you refresh me on the name of my new Supreme Master, if you would?
Yes, your... let me just figure out his voice. There it is. His name is Notad Raygon. Notad Raygon.
Yes. Well, basically, in the last couple of days, he has basically been wringing out every bit of time Notad is willing to give him, so he can learn how to do this as quickly as possible. But thanks to Kid actually having a bit of a magical aptitude, he does learn quickly. But his choices that he has chosen to specialize in, mostly magic that does not require him to use anything except his own voice, has led him to some awkward situations. Like, for example, what is the tallest place in the town at the moment?
The tallest place, that would be the spire of the church.
And how tall off the ground is it?
It is I'd say it's about 40, 50 feet. You're gonna fall off of it.
I'm sorry, I missed most of that.
Oh.
How tall was it?
It's between 40 and 50 feet.
Okay, that's actually perfect. Okay. Kid is currently standing at the edge of this, looking down at Notad.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sitting there and he's fairly nervous. According to Notad, this is how the spell's supposed to work. But at the end of the day, he is technically hurling himself off of the top of this building. If it doesn't work, it's going to either hurt or kill him. So he's going to call out, Supreme Master, this is how Featherfall's supposed to work, right?
Of course. It's very simple. You just need to, believe you are the feather. And you will gently float down as if it is nothing. Chop, chop, jump!
And I jump. And gently float down. Just as the Master told me.
Yeah, as you gently float down, there's probably slight beads of sweat and fear in your eyes going, oh, that was scary. And Notad is stood at the bottom, kind of tapping his foot impatiently, going, see, it's much easier than you thought it would be, no?
Yeah. I didn't scream it out just like you told me, because like you were saying, I got to be very, very careful with how I say it. I learned after the first 2 times.
You, it is a delicate procedure. In fact, perhaps it is the tongue you speak it in. The many aspects of the beautiful mastery of the arcane. It comes across better in the tongue of dragons. Would you perhaps care to learn?
I would very much love to learn as quickly as possible, but wow. It took me years to learn Elven just listening to it. Yeah, I would love to learn Draconic if you're willing to teach me.
Is a simple mind of the matter. In fact, kid, come here. Come to Soapy Master. And he beckons you over to him.
Quickly up to him as possible.
He is going to place a hand on your head. You at this point may choose to make a will save if you so please, or are you just going to let him do what he's doing?
I'm completely at his beck and call.
Good. You feel an immensely powerful surge of arcane energy pound into your brain. He is essentially forcibly teaching you Draconic.
Does it hurt?
Your head feels it feels like your brain is expanding and physically pushing on the outside of your skull. So it's a different kind of pain than Kid is used to. But
well, it still feels like pain, so it must be working.
Exactly. Once he removes his hand, he begins to speak to you. And as this beautifully fluidic language, some could even confuse it for, like the language of love or something like that. It's been far too many years since I've studied French, so I'm not going to even attempt to speak it. But yeah, you can completely understand everything he is saying in this language. You can now add Draconic to your list of known languages.
It honestly is one of the greatest experiences that he's ever felt. This is one of the best masters he's ever had.
Because he's not getting hit.
Because this one's not beating him, yes.
Yeah.
Best master you've had.
Dear oh dear. Well, Kid, you now can understand Draconic, and you find that Notad much prefers speaking Draconic to you. It's almost as if Draconic is his first language.
Oh,
which,
interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, in your experience of being around half-elves and elves, that seems slightly odd, and, but whatever, maybe that's just where he's from.
Doesn't matter, he's my master and I'm his disciple. It's not my business to question him and his methods.
Nope. Don't question things. Dear oh dear. Is there... obviously you're doing... throughout these 3 days you're doing some big Mulan-esque training montage with Notad constantly shouting commands at you, telling you things like you must be quick as the I forgot the bloody words. I am ashamed.
Swift as the coursing river.
That's it, coursing.
Force of a great typhoon. Read the damn book.
That's pretty much
Stop
it.
doing push-ups and read the
He,
damn book.
Notad is a firm believer in learn by doing, and he also likes to incorporate a lot of physical exercise into his learning. So he will he'll open his notebook, put it on the floor, and make you do press-ups while standing on your back, making you read whilst doing press-ups or push-ups, whatever you want to call them. So he's doing that, and he'll be barking commands at you in Draconic. And every now and then, just in case you weren't quite paying attention or it felt like you were struggling, a ray of frost would shoot out from his finger.
No, the Supreme Master's the best around.
He wouldn't hit you with the ray of frost, but he'd make it go very close to your ear and hit the ground next to you. Just to keep you on your toes.
Oh, yeah.
After a long and grueling, I'm assuming you're doing a full 3 days of training and mastery of these things?
Oh, yes, I've got to learn how to scribe spells. I've got to figure out what the familiar ritual might be if I have to do it later on.
Well,
I'll learn everything there is to know about a wizard in the small amount of time I have, but thankfully I'm a quick study.
Yeah. Notad will happily undergo the familiar ritual with you. I think I'll use a full day of your time, though, so that's your call. He'll offer up all the materials you would need to perform it.
I would like to summon a familiar.
Okay.
The one I would choose is a bat.
Nice. For the lovely flowery descriptions of it all, Notad takes you out into the wilderness outside of town one day, and he draws a circle on the floor, puts all these different draconic runes and things like that, runes which you now understand. You go, huh, that's definitely some runes right there. They're saying some pretty intense magical things. But we can't tell people, because that would ruin the mystery. We can't let anyone know that it actually just says eggs, bread, milk, cheese. It's serious magic. And he will lead the ritual. Yeah. He will, he'll take your hands and he'll hold them and begin chanting. And it's this beautiful draconic. It almost comes off like a song of sorts. And when the ritual is complete, it feels as if nothing has changed. It kind of feels as if nothing has happened until,
Believe in my master.
From out of the trees, this rather confused looking bat comes out, mainly because it's in the middle of the day. But this bat flutters out and kind of flies over and sits itself onto Kid's shoulder.
Okay. I would like to perform a sense motive on this bat. I would like to know what it has been through up until this time.
Roll me a sense motive, please.
Unfortunately, it is a bat.
And with a sense motive of a 2, you are probably not getting very much from this bat at this moment in time specifically. You can tell it bears no ill will to you. In fact, it seems downright friendly. Notad will look at you and go, I see you have found a new little friend. He's quite a cute little fellow. Do you have a name for him, her? I am not a veterinarian. I cannot tell about gender by looking, so I will leave that up to you.
His name?
Oui.
It will be sugar.
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 Sugar the bat. I don't know why, but that's just really cute.
I named it that because it's sweet.
Aww. Your little battle, it will nuzzle any bit of exposed flesh it can find on your heavily armored body. I know you're not actually in heavy armor. Bum. Okay then. Well, I also know what our missing player is doing on his day off. Well, not his day off. Whilst he is not here. Whilst everyone else has been doing this, Keldor has been essentially getting the other members of Unst's raiding party to attack him as a group, and he's been fighting them off, and it's training, it's not dangerous. So that's what Keldor's been doing for the 3 days. As for the NPCs, they've all been getting up to various things. Prince McFife has been sat around looking grumpy that he's got a broken leg, but it's a bit better now, so he can now walk on it fully and do plenty of things. Unst, as we discussed, he went and picked some flowers and went and had a conversation with the prince. Eliza, she went and asked to join the group, and well, we know Smiles has been hanging out inside the tavern, getting up to something, and the Bardic Knock himself, he's mainly just been bumming around, hanging out in the tavern, playing a few songs, nothing much. But as the third day draws to a close, the Bardic Knock and Prince McFife gather you all in the tavern. The tavern has been cleared out specifically so you can have this meeting. The only other person present outside of yourselves, Angus, Unst, Eliza, and the Bardic Knock, the only other person there that you are aware of is the bartender herself. Prince McFife, having gathered you all in, addressed you all as, well, I see we've all been making good timings for our resting here. Zindrix, I've seen you've been going out and teaching the refugees how to fend for themselves, and well, Primrose, I know you and Unst went and had some good conversations, and well, you brought the lovely Eliza into our fold. I've seen you all getting on with various things, and I think it's time that we decide how we are going to proceed. I know Unst has told us all of his quest, and I would like to join him on that. Does anybody else have any suggestions as to where we should proceed forward?
The Great Weapon seems like it would be the most practical use of our time. And I'm not saying that just because my master wants to go towards the mountains, and that might be where he wants to go.
Mako kind of breaks the silence, and he speaks up. I actually had a vision of this snowy white mountain, and I agree we should go.
When you speak of having your vision, Prince McFive kind of raises an eyebrow at you, and no Tad. He kind of he gets a wry smile over his cheeks as he looks at you and goes, yeah, and flashes you a knowing look.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Does he have more tattoos than he did yesterday?
A bit. Just
How-
a bit.
How'd you do that in 24 hours?
My tribe, it's what we do. We go out, we have visions, we inhale what we call talala. It is a herb
Yeah.
that grows in the mountain.
Well, maybe you want to invite me to your next Talala party.
Perhaps.
All right. So, back to the game at hand. This is all to kill a wizard, right?
Aye.
How much do we know about this wizard?
He's a bastard.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
So not much is what you're saying, Prince.
Whenever I take a job, the first thing I do is scout the place out. You figure out what you're dealing with. You find out where the exits are. You figure out what you gotta do to accomplish the mission.
And then you smash him in the head with a hammer.
And then you smash him in the head with a hammer. But you figure out when and where to smash him in the head with the hammer, right?
Certainly.
Unst will chime in and go, well, I came across wizard in north, near ruins of Caldenbrith. I agree with Prince. He is bastard. Look, well, you already seen. I'm reiterating for potential fourth wall breaking audience moment. Look, he gave me awful black scars and marks down arms with curse. He's bastard.
Yeah, and he burned down an entire city full of people. He's got a few crimes up on that list for sure. He makes me look. Well, that's not the point, but we need to know a little bit more about him, is what I'm saying. Do we know anything that would actually help us fight him? Is he human? Is he alive?
Make me a sense motive check. Please.
Okay.
Blake.
I do not have my thing open because I had to restart the whole program. So, sense motive. It's probably under S somewhere. There we go. That's a 17 on a sense motive.
Okay, with a 17, I need to just see. Oh yeah. Notad has got the biggest grin on his face when people are talking about what do we know about the wizard.
Huh. But I haven't really spent any time with Notad. I don't really know anything about him.
You have
It does seem
no
suspicious,
idea. You don't even really know who this guy is.
Yeah. So, what's the deal? Do you know anything about him?
Oh, well.
You look like you know something about him.
What does anybody know about anybody? Certainly, but, I have certainly heard plenty of stories. Well, obviously, we all know about the tyrant. Ugh, it is not a pleasant word to say in my accent. The tyrant. I can't say that in a French accent, so I'm giving up. The tyrant, Saucer, Zargothax. Zargonoth. Zargothax was his bastard son. Perhaps he done something there.
It's a good start.
Can I roll another sense motive to see if he's lying to me about that? Or is he still that
yeah,
shitty
go right
grin on
ahead.
his face? That's a 14 on the second one. So I'm scrutinizing the hell out of him now.
He is he is not lying, but he is not giving all the information he knows.
Who knows this guy?
That would be I. He is my master, and I am his disciple. This is a decision that we made 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Because of him, I can do cool magic stuff now, thanks to this book he gave. And he holds up a book, and the image on the front of it is, he might be holding it upside down, but it doesn't look like, it looks like a rune, but to anybody who can't speak Draconic, it doesn't look exactly like a word so much as a really interesting image. It looks like it might be a visual pun on some sort of rune that is currently there, if you were to hold it the right way.
Someone who does know Draconic.
The word, it basically is just a word that means magic, but the word for magic in Draconic looks quite a lot like some guy sitting down looking at his own junk.
Makes sense to me.
Why not? Magic, right?
Absolutely.
We have now officially
So
made the first canon Draconic rune.
Oh, 100%.
So the strange, powerful magic guy shows up while we're running away from a wizard. Doesn't explain who he is, and nobody finds that strange.
I certainly don't, because he's taught me a lot of really cool things at the night.
Well, then we know what it takes to buy you, but does that make anybody else weird? I'm just looking at the guy.
I didn't think anything
know
about
my
this
masters?
sorcerer that we have to kill, though.
I don't know how he knows it, but he does.
He knows a lot of things, Flick.
I
Hello.
believe that. That's what makes me worried.
I'm kind of with Flick on this, this worrisome idea that he would know things that, out of the blue, he would just come here right after this horrible wizard laid waste to Dundee.
Flick, Vaco, I'm going to let you know a secret that I learned quite a lot in my youth. It was spoken to me by the very first person who trained me in the use of this whip that I carry. It's about a magical creature known as the gift horse. It will give you what you're looking for, but you must never look at it in its mouth. I believe that he is our gift horse at the moment. You see his mouth? Don't look at it. Listen.
It's his eyes I'm concerned with.
So,
They're lying to us.
what do you mean about my eyes? How dare you stare too deeply into them? They are private. He tries to cover his eyes a little bit. He then, while still covering his eyes, goes, anyway, I totally understand that I must come across as enigmatic or strange or something like that, but perhaps you just have predetermined expectations of the arcane or other people, definitely people, nothing else here, like me. And anyhow,
You're
I
right.
am
I don't trust magic, and I don't trust other people. And you are both magic and other people. And if you haven't noticed, we happen to be plotting to take down a powerful magic user. Someone who can destroy an entire city with flames and rocks from the sky. I'm pretty
see.
sure that either him or some people who work for him would be able to disguise themselves this poorly. I could make this disguise. It's just the magic tattoos that I'd have a little more trouble with.
see.
Vaco starts laughing at this.
See, you have proved my innocence. Fire. I am not skilled in the ways of fire. In fact, fire is not my friend. He reaches over and grabs a candle. See, isn't this? He holds his finger out towards it, and his skin burns almost immediately, when getting close to the fire. Before he quickly pulls it away and goes, see, fire is not my friend. I instead prefer the cooler. He snaps his fingers and a quick blast of very chilling air sweeps through the tavern and it freezes the fire perfectly. So on top of the candle there is now a small ice flame. It could not be me.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you're him. I'm saying you're someone who could be working for him, who could deliver a message just like that. And I pull out my finger and snap it. Now, I don't know, but the best I can do is ask you to look me in my eyes and tell me if you're working with us or against us. Flick considers himself a human lie detector, by the way.
The half the lie detector.
Hey,
No, he detects lies in humans. He feels them very easy to read. He may be wrong about that, but that's what he feels.
Unlike humans, I mean, so far this person has seemed quite easy to read. But as you take a look at him just now, you can see the slight corners of his smile turn up, almost as if he has been letting you read him. He kind of gives a little smirk and like, well, I think this is where your skills may not work too well on me, for I am not exactly, as you would say, human. Points to his ears. Obviously. I'm certainly not anything else. But I can give you my entire word, my art, my soul, my very life, even my mother's life. God rest her. At least I think she's dead. Anyhow, I too would like to see the end of this awful evil wizard. He gives me a bad name. He makes it so I cannot walk around doing my magics.
It's a capital crime, sir.
Alright, one more sense motive. Oh, an 11 this time. Come on.
He's very
Getting worse.
convincing.
Notad Rhaegon is the most legitimate, honest man you have ever met. And he is certainly only what he is presenting to yourself and nothing else.
All right, guys. I don't know for sure, but we gotta be careful because we can't just be taking in random people like this in our secret quest to kill the wizard.
He's not he's not random. He's my teacher. I sought him out, and therefore he comes.
Well, yeah, but he's a magic user. He could have just, brainwashed you or something in the last couple of days. None of us know him.
Wash my brain. He actually put something into my brain, and I'm going to begin speaking See, this is what I can do.
Okay,
and
what you two do on your own time is none of our business, but...
And I begin saying all of that in Draconic. I also show Sugar, who is currently hiding in my hair. This is
the
my
cutest thing in the world!
Sugar, say hi.
Sugar just, upside down, of course, just pops its head out of a thick bush of your hair behind your ear, and he goes, meow. And when it makes a noise,
Great asset.
when Sugar makes a noise, Flick, your backpack starts to wriggle.
Hey, no,
I just grab the backpack and turn around and try and squish it lightly a bit so that it stops moving.
Flick, you hear a voice in your head and goes, Papa, I want to meet the new friend. Can I have a friend?
Flick whispers out the side of his mouth while looking like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar again in front of him. He's like,
you can meet him later. There's too many people around.
your backpack, it settles down, and you hear in your own head an audible, oh, oh.
I rest my case.
So Flick just looks insane now.
Just starts.
I'm more insane than he did.
It's my other personality. I keep him in my backpack.
Okay then. Angus McFife, after seeing all of this nonsense going on in front of him, he kind of slams his fist down on the table and goes, oh, bugger, I lost his voice there. So we're agreed. We travel south by southwest.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get on with this mission. That's him,
Well,
right?
well, exactly. No, that's Unst. Damn it! Voices, they're all coming out. Exactly.
You're gonna need to start just recording individual like clips of their voices on the side so you can play yourself a reminder.
Yeah.
You'll have to predict predict everything that we're going to say.
No, I just
Every
keep.
character we're ever gonna interact with.
I keep token phrases. I just have each voice going, yes, no, ask again later. No, Angus McFife, Scottish. There we go, Scottish in the voice of Angus McFife. I think I don't really care anymore. Balls to it. He slams his fist on the table and says, "What are we doing? We going to the Scarfell Peak. We going down to that there mountain. Gonna climb it. Get us a magic hammer."
Yes, sir.
Aye. Perfect. Well, I suppose we'll set off in the morning. Until then, everyone, he whistles, calls over the tavern owner and goes, drinks are on the crown tonight. She bows and curtsies and rushes off, grabs she grabs 3 full barrels of ale and drags them out and puts them down. You guys can drink heavily into the night, or you can go off to bed early, you can do whatever.
I have been told by my master that I need to get 8 hours of sleep every night so that I can use my magic better.
Okay then. Does anyone else have anything specific they would like to do for the evening? Because if not, we can fit in a quick break here.
Flick just wants to, as soon as everybody's like slightly plastered, he's going to sneak out and he's going to go find his 3 young lads, and he's going to sneak them into the back of the tavern and then sneak drinks to them.
Okay, when you come out of the tavern, make a spot check, please.
Okay. Spot. Oh, well, that's not a good bonus. That was a 3.
Okay, no, you don't notice anything.
No. Should I make a listen check too?
Yes, make a listen check.
Okay,
Ooh,
let's
you
see
might
who's
notice
more on the
that.
ball with that. 26.
Yes. You don't see anything, but what you hear, coming over from near the window to the tavern, you hear a very familiar voice. Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's kind of more up there. It's a very familiar voice. And he's going, "Oh, that's great. I'll jump on the back of their wagon. I'll get out of this podunk town before anybody figures out that I've been robbing everybody blind. I just realised I shouldn't be saying that out loud. Oh, ignore me. There's nobody here. You can't see me. La 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 la. You're hearing things."
All right, can I move silently to get behind him?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Another 26. Wow.
Yeah, you certainly, without making a sound, you are behind your friend, confidant, nemesis, Smiles McGrath, who's currently holding onto the windowsill, his little feet not touching the ground, and peering inside. He's been listening in to everything that's been going on.
All right. I haven't fully fleshed out how bad their history is. So I feel like I'm going to leave it up to chance. I'm going to roll a random d20. And we're just going to see. We're going to make one absolutely horrible history and a 20 like they were old business partners that turned sour at some point.
Okay.
That's a 9. So that's right in the middle. So that's a fair bit of ire. That's a fair bit of bad history. All right. And I'm calling that's a fair bit of Smiles being a real piece of crap too. So
Kind of.
Flick sneaks up behind Smiles, and he reaches into a pocket in his jacket, his little leather jacket, and he pulls out a length of wire with 2 handles on the end.
Jesus Christ.
And he slips it around Smiles' neck from behind, and he doesn't pull it to the point of bleeding, but he just pulls it taut against his neck.
Okay. What kind of check does Smiles need to make to oppose this?
This would be
Escape artist, I would say.
I think it's an escape artist, yeah. I'll look it up quickly, but I'm pretty positive it's an escape artist.
Fucking Flick, just murdering everyone.
He's not dead yet.
He rolled a 2, so even with his +9, that's only an 11. So
yeah, and it's definitely higher than that.
Yeah, you are grotting this guy something fierce as he kind of goes.
No. I'm not guarding him yet. I got it like up against his skin so that he can't get his fingers in between it, but I'm not strangling him yet. Sort of like putting the blade of your knife up against his neck without drawing blood, right?
Yeah. So
just so he knows that something's there and he knows he can't stop it. And as he reaches up and tries to and fails to release the wire, I lock it behind his neck by crossing the handles. And I just lean in while pulling him back like a leash on a dog. And my face just comes up beside his, and I say, "Hi, Smiles. Where you been, buddy?"
"Oh, I've been around in the tavern mostly, making friends with the locals and the refugees, playing a few games of chance and." Come on there, Flick. Do we really need the grotting wire here? Can we not talk like gentlemen?
Well, that depends, doesn't it? Depends all on you, Smiles.
Depends on what exactly. My bestest friend, please.
You know what I've been doing since I've been here?
Well, I saw you in the tavern, and I saw you nipping around here and there, and I think I even saw you head down to that old abandoned building down at the bottom there. But I certainly haven't been following you around and finding out what my old pal has been doing.
Nah, of course not. I know you wouldn't do that. Now, here's the thing. What I've been doing since I got here is not robbing people who can't afford it. You know, that's always been the difference between you and me. I go and I find the people who can afford to lose a few coins, and I relieve them of those few coins. Sometimes a little more. You have no scruples. You steal from people like us. You steal from people just trying to get by. As you proved here, again.
Well, I
So
wasn't. I
now...
wasn't stealing. I
No, no,
heard
no,
you
no. I don't
call.
want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And I pull tighter.
Flick.
There we go. Shut up and listen for a second, Smiles.
Okay.
That's more like it. Now, what this all depends on is if you're gonna go return those coins to the people who you took them from, or if I'm gonna do it. And here's the thing. If I do it, you're not gonna be around to do it.
Okay. I'll get started on that right away then.
And Smiles,
Yes, Flick.
do it. You know I'm gonna find you, right?
Well, I was kind of hoping there. Older buddy and pal of mine. I was hoping I'd be able to tag along with you and all your friends there. You know.
Oh, I know you were. Yeah, you were hoping to tag along till just the right moment when you could cut all our purses and our throats, right?
Maybe, but I won't be doing that now. I promise you.
No, you won't, because if I have to come find you, and now I pull it till it does start to cut a little bit, you're not gonna like what happens, Smiles. It's gonna be worse than anything you could think of. I guarantee it. And I throw him forward so he slams into the wall.
When he hits the wall, he kind of cowers down a little bit. There's a distinctive smell in the air. Kind of like ammonia. Smiles has literally pissed himself in fear.
Before leaving, I kneel down in front of him and I say, remember this moment, Smiles? This is the moment where you change. One way or the other. Okay? Make it the good way. And I reach out and I pat him twice on the cheek, and then I stand up and I leave.
Okay.
Not to piss Flick off.
How is it the halfling rogue is the most terrifying member of this party? He's murdered someone for, you know. Okay, yeah. You go off. You find your kids in the abandoned building. They've got some food. They've got some water. If you say you're gonna go and give them some drinks, they go, "Yay! Alcohol for minors!" And they follow, and they'll sit just out of sight and happily let you hand them a few drinks for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them alcohol poisoning, but keeping in mind that they're probably even less tolerance than me at 30 pounds, so they get like half a beer each.
Okay. If there is anything anybody else would like to do or say before we take a quick break?
Nothing from me.
Nope.
No, I've done more than enough. All good.
Yeah, I'm good too. I don't have anything.
Okay then.
Some Zindrix in here, please.
With that, we are going to go take a quick break, everybody, and we will be back real soon.